Hey everybody, welcome back to album reviews. Thank you for watching the first one. The response was great. I appreciate it a lot. So I'm going to do a lot more, and I think what I'm going to do is make it into a series where I only review albums I own on vinyl, which will give me more incentive to buy more albums and support local record shops and all that good stuff. As I said last time, I'm going to do The Rest is Brand New, and I'm also going to mix in everything else I own. So here is Deja Entendu. I have it hung up in my living room, the actual gatefold for Deja, but I have the records here. Right, they're the most recent black press that they put out for not the RSD one, the unlimited press, that kind of thing. I'd just rather have the album than not. So I'm really happy that they decided to repress it and they decided to make it readily available, basically. So let's just start off from my history with Deja. I didn't buy the CD for a while after I owned Your Favorite Weapon. Like, I was interested in it, I just didn't want to buy it yet, because I had heard some mixed things, that the sound was different, that their sound changed so much from Your Favorite Weapon to Deja. But I feel like that was a really positive thing for the band and for the direction that they wanted to go into. Deja and Devil really have that essence of the band, like that's where they kind of develop their sound. And the songs that they play live kind of reflect their sound. So I think Deja was really a step forward in the right direction, and a lot of people kind of pushed it aside because emo wasn't really around too much. The late 90s were, what was it, second wave? And then it started to filter out and you started to get, I guess, teenage emo, pop punk type of thing like Fall Out Boy and MCR, which are great bands in their own right, but emo kind of felt off, and I think that's why people had so much negative things to say. It pioneered kind of this new era, this new idea of brand new. So let's get into the album. Tattoo sets it off very different from Shower Scene. Shower Scene starts off with the drums. It starts off very fast, and you know, oh, this is like an angry record, this is an angsty record. But Deja starts off slow, and you have this long guitar track, and there's a lot of echo, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And it starts off with two lines that repeat each other that make you step back and think, wow, this is really a departure, this is really going to be different. And they really encapsulated that feeling of being alone, being submerged in water. It had that kind of feeling about the record. So it flows into Sig Transit, which is one of the singles from the record. And that song has a very good soft, loud quality about it. The verses are all bass. And then they go into the chorus, which is very, very fast. Even has some screams going on. And it kind of lets a little bit of the anger that was hinted at in Tattoo, or not hinted at, but it was kind of dwelling there for a while, and they had to kind of let it out. So I can see why those two tracks started off the album. And Sig Transit ends so abruptly, you don't realize how good it is until it's over, type of thing. The Up the Stairs, the station where, you know, that line will always emanate brand new to me as well. Because it had like a Last Chance to Lose Your Keys type of thing that really captured the mood about the song. And if you think about the song, it's pretty deep. It's pretty obvious what it's about if you just listen to it. The theme that he wanted to emit about the song really shined through in a good way, and that kind of comes with the dichotomy between soft and loud. Spin Light starts immediately after Sig Transit ends, which is kind of an awkward transition at first, but then you realize that it's resetting the tables a little bit. Like, I think what they wanted to do is start off the album with something that no one would really expect them to. Throw in a fast song that has very deep elements, and then kind of completely throw everybody off with this somewhat acoustic song that develops into something a little bit bigger. I think that's something that they did really well. That being said, for me, it's one of the weaker tracks in the album. Of an album of so many good songs, it's really hard to say what's the weakest, but it doesn't hold so much weight when you think about the songs that come immediately after it. It's still really good, and it's a really good song to hear live. It gets a little bit lost in translation. I think that's a fair assessment of Spin Light. So then comes in Tommy Gun. Tommy Gun, like I said, really emulates brand new sound. That and DeGosser. Number 4 on the album will emanate the essence of the band if you want. Anyway, Tommy Gun really shows what the band is about, and I have so many good things to say about it that I almost can't think of any. It starts off lone guitar, Jesse singing for 2 whole minutes before the rest of the band even comes in, into this giant chorus and these giant bridges and everything. And it really kind of signifies their sound in a nutshell. It's just really good. And every time I hear it live, I just get a little happier because I know that is one of their best songs. I'm sure they know it too. It's definitely the best song on Deja for me. Probably one of the best in their discography. I would say DeGosser has just a little bit edge because of the way that they wrote it, despite Tommy Gunn having I'm Heaven Sent, Don't You Dare Forget. So then comes Quiet Things, the first single, I believe, off the record. A lot of people say that Quiet Things is overrated because it is a single and because people know what that song is and people know that that's brand new. And while it is a really good song, I still think Tommy Gunn is just a little bit better than it because it kind of feels, I don't want to say it feels radio, even though it pretty much the definition of it. You have these alternating chorus vocals, you have a solo-ish guitar going in the background, and it's fast-paced, it's upbeat, the lyrics are pretty easy to relate to and pretty easy to understand. So it definitely feels a little bit radio. That being said, it's still a really solid song, and I'm glad that they chose it as the single because it probably is the most Your Favorite Weapon sounding. So they definitely wanted to show people that you are still angsty, just in a different way. And that kind of came across with, I guess, the lyrics in more ways than not. It's a similar type of theme, I guess. It was kind of like the bridge from Your Weapon to Deja. And then we got Boy Who Blocked His Own Shot, smack dab in the middle of the album. And it's an acoustic song that transformed into a full band by the end of it. And it probably is another one of their most recognizable and most quoted lyrics. You're the smell before the rain, you are the blood in my veins. So it definitely has that element going with it. And the acousticness of the song definitely makes it a fan favorite and something that I always liked. When I went to the discography show, they did Your Favorite Weapon and Deja. It was nice to see The Boy Who Blocked His Own Shot. Even though they skipped it on the set list by accident, they went Quiet Things and then right into Jaws. And then Jesse was like, wait, we forgot something. They stuck Boy in there right after Jaws. Not that it's a forgettable song, but they just forgot it off the set for whatever reason. Jaws theme, I like it. But coming off of such a powerful and an emotional acoustic song, it kind of falls a little flat. I felt this for a while about Devil and Deja, where they have really, really solid first halves. First 5 or 6 songs are amazing and you want to listen to them. But then the backside of the record kind of changes the mood completely. Like with Devil, you have the instrumental that changes everything about the album. And with Deja, you go from this acoustic song, and then you go to Jaws theme, and it's a little more intricate, it's a little more complex than some of the other songs, but as a result, it feels a little underwhelming, would be probably the best word for Jaws theme. Then comes Me vs. Maradona vs. Elvis, which kind of emulates that slow start, building into a very, very big ending chorus. That's their sound, that's what they like to do. And it really has these lyrical themes that kind of get a little weird to listen to as you get older. It's a little risque, I guess would be the right word there, even though it's still a very, very powerful song. It has to deal with, obviously, about fame and how that comes with the territory that you're in and how to deal with it. I don't really know what to say about MVMV. It's really hard to say lyric-wise what it's really about, but it goes back to that idea of the first half of the album after a kind of an awkward transition. And then comes in Guernica, which is a very emotional song for Jesse. Obviously, it was about his grandfather passing while they're on the road, and it feels a lot kind of like an Archers or Not the Sun, where it's very write a song, rock type of thing. It even includes a little bit of yelled vocals in the bridge, which kind of lets out a lot of the anger, a lot of the angst that was probably present from Your Favorite Weapon and from the first half of Deja. So I think that sits pretty nicely towards the latter half of the album. It almost feels a little underrated, underappreciated. Guernica just kind of has that feel about it where that was a song for him more than probably anyone else. It was something that he needed to write and something that he needed to get out, get off of his chest. It doesn't hurt that it's a really good song. So then we get to Good to Know. The song title is just so long and it's obviously pointed at something, and it maybe it was just angsty for angst's sake, but it's just funny. Well, the whole album kind of has these long-winded song titles, which I think was a product of the times. You know, the early to mid 2000s had these really, really long song titles. But it's just interesting to see how much that has changed going to Devil and God. And then Daisy, I think the longest song title is at the bottom. So it's just interesting to see how that changes over time. So the song starts off eerie, starts off a little moody. It kind of has that same feeling as Tattoo does, where it's kind of like a little unsettling, like where is this going to go? And it goes into this very echoey, reverberated guitar and these verses that are kind of very airy. And then it gets into this really, really big chorus, and you have this solo that ends the song, and it tapers out into an acoustic finale in the same vein as Soko. But I think the power of Play Crack the Sky is heightened by Good to Know. If Good to Know weren't such a good song and had such a good, end to such a powerful album, I don't think Crack the Sky would be nearly as good or nearly as praised as it is. Whereas Soko deserves all the praise that it gets because it really ends that album for them. Like That Sky is kind of like an epilogue. At least that's what I feel. Everyone loves that song and everyone loves the lyrics and everyone loves the sound about it. And a lot of the times they'll say, oh, Like That Sky is one of my favorite brand new songs. And I say, well, what do you think about Good to Know? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the song that comes before it on Deja. And they're like, oh, the long song? I always skip that one. And I feel like that's so disappointing. Good to Know is so powerful and so emotional. It's kind of like Limousine. So I will always defend Good to Know. It's probably my second favorite on the album. And then going into Plague Out of the Sky, I talked about before, it's emotionally minded. It's an acoustic way to end Deja, and I think it's very powerful, but it definitely gets heightened by its predecessor. They set that standard of having an acoustic ending, so they wanted to do it again, but they did it this time as kind of like an after the fact epilogue type style. That's my personal belief on how Deja goes and on how Plague Out the Sky fits into the scheme of the album. That's basically my review of each song. As far as the tracking and how everything meshes together, it definitely feels a little more disjointed than Devil and God was, because there's a lot of resetting and kind of not building up, but maybe they did it on purpose to switch up the sound. Maybe they did that for a reason. The back half of the album probably flows more than the front half. Besides 1 and 2, kind of goes through these very weird transitions between the songs and weird feelings. I think that's what makes it so good, that these seemingly separate songs, when you put them together, they become this packaged product that becomes really good. To compare Deja and Devil God, I'm still going to have to give the edge a little to Devil and God. I think they got a little more mature. I think they got a little more experienced with the songwriting and the song techniques. And that being said, Deja will always be a special album for a lot of people and will always kind of hold this higher status. Like before they did the repress, the first and second press were going for what, like $400 online? Like, that's crazy. I think that speaks to the mystery and allure of brand new. I feel like they're one step ahead of everyone else when it comes to their announcements and their stuff that they want to do. They kind of keep like a distance between the band and the fan base, which makes it really interesting because people are seeking a new album or seeking the Deja first presses. They want to know more information, and they're so mysterious and they're so recluse sometimes. And I think that started with Deja. Like, they put everything on the table for Your Favorite Weapon, and then they were like, okay, we're going to make it a little more mysterious. We don't want to be super predictable pop punk band. And I think that really paid off, and that kind of changed their style in a big way. And then as they grew older, they made an album that was a little bit better than Deja, and then they decided to completely change again, which is fine. That's just what they want to do, and it definitely started with Deja. So thank you for watching. Leave some comments below, subscribe if you like, and check out the next videos that I post for reviews and everything. So thanks. Bye.